On a picture-perfect day in January 1998, hundreds of people gathered to celebrate the rebirth of Miami Edison Middle School, formerly Miami Edison Senior High. It was a joyous occasion. Students showed their appreciation. And school board leaders savored a rare moment of unanimous praise.
The next selection is coming from a trio from Miami Edison Middle School, and it is entitled Wing Beneath My Wings, and it is dedicated to everyone who helped Park to renovate and build this beautiful facility.
Alumni from the old high school sat misty-eyed, filled with emotion and memories. This is a story with a happy ending and a new beginning. A story about how an old school and decisions about its future brought old-timers and newcomers together, first as adversaries and then as friends. And it's a lesson in the value of exemplary design that unites the best of the past with the best of the future. This is the story of Miami Edison. The story begins more than 100 years ago in a little village called Lemon City that grew up on Biscayne Bay near 61st Street. At first, Lemon City had a one-room school, grades 1 to 8, and then a 4-room school, no electricity, no running water, no playground, except for the woods. The only high school was in downtown Miami, and to get there, students rode bikes, took the train for a dime, or rode the school wagon. In 1915, thanks to John G. Dupuy, a pioneer medical doctor, dairyman, and school trustee, Lemon City finally got its own high school. It was built in the Pine Woods on Avenue G and Poco Moonshine Road, today's Northwest 2nd Avenue and 62nd Street. Lemon City residents complained that the school had been moved to the boondocks. At first, the high school was so small that high schoolers used just one room, and the grade school students filled up the rest. In 1917, Dr. Dupuy convinced the Florida legislature to designate the school the Dade County Agricultural High School, the only school of its kind in Florida. Most boys and some girls took at least one class in agriculture: farming, citrus culture, beekeeping, or poultry raising. By the mid-1920s, Miami was booming, and the Dade County Agricultural High School, fondly called Aggie High, was bursting at the seams. Residents demanded a new school. In the fall of 1928, the 860 Aggie students walked across the street into their palatial new school designed by Hastings and Mundy. Built around a central patio that quickly became the gathering place, the new school was a wonderful example of architecture suited to Miami's tropical lifestyle. In 1930, the impressive gymnasium opened. As more and more non-agricultural students enrolled, many wanted the school to be renamed. And so in October 1931, during the week of Thomas Alva Edison's death, the school was renamed Miami Edison Senior High, the first school in the country to honor the famed inventor. That same year, the school's stunning Art Deco-styled auditorium, designed by Pfeiffer and Robertson, opened to rave reviews. Throughout the years, Edison High School developed many traditions. None more enduring than the legendary rivalry between the Red Raiders and the crosstown Miami High Stingarees. It wasn't unusual for 40,000 people to crowd the Orange Bowl on Thanksgiving night to see if Edison could end Miami High's winning streak. And then finally, in 1952, after 28 years, the Raiders beat Miami High 21-7. Ralph Rennick, WTVJ News anchor, recalled that night to remember.
According to Webster, an earthquake is a vibration or movement of a part of the Earth's surface. Well, that's exactly what happened in Miami last night. The final score at the Orange Bowl Turkey Day Classic was Miami Edison 21, Miami Senior High 7. Even before the final whistle blew, bedlam broke loose. Students and Red Raider fans from years back swarming down on the playing field. The formation of a howling, surging parade was spontaneous. Downtown Miami streets also felt the heavy tread of victorious marching feet. The goalposts belonged to the victors, and here they join the wild parade.
The goalpost was permanently installed in the Edison patio to commemorate that historic event. With time, Edison, like Miami, underwent change. In 1963, the formerly all-white school admitted its first black students. And at the same time, hundreds of Cuban refugees enrolled, adding another new culture. By the mid-1970s, the old school was showing its age. Students sweltered in unair-conditioned classrooms. Teachers competed with traffic noise reverberating through those open windows.
Well, Edison is such a dilapidated school and it's in such poor shape, we have no vocational facilities whatsoever, that we just need an entire new school.
After years of discussion, consensus was reached. They would build a new Miami Edison High School on 62nd Street. In 1978, 50 years after the old school's dedication, the new Edison opened. The old school building became Edison Junior High and then later Edison Middle School. In 1986, the Edison Alumni Association, better known as the Over the Hill Gang, led the effort to list the old school on the National Register of Historic Places. But by this time, the school was in serious disrepair because school administrators were unsure of its future. And in 1988, after the passage of a $280 million bond referendum, the school system announced that the old Edison would be torn down and a new middle school built across the street. The 5,000-member Over the Hill Gang, chaired by Fred and Mary Exum, forcefully opposed the demolition. And that issue came to a head in February 1992 after a heated meeting in the school's auditorium. After a prolonged and sometimes acrimonious debate, the school board intervened and voted to build a new school incorporating significant parts of the old. They hired Richard J. Heisenbottle, a renowned preservation architect, to create a new school that would unite both points of view.
Ladies and gentlemen, board members, I'm very pleased to tell you today that we have completed the first part of our assignment. We have completed our historic structures report that will allow us and has allowed us to understand the historic significance of each of the structures that are here on the site, as well as to delve into the condition of each of the buildings that are out there, its structural condition, its mechanical, electrical, and plumbing systems conditions. And what we've been able to do through that report is to identify those aspects of the existing site that truly contribute to the building's historic designation. Those elements clearly include the original classroom building by Hastings and Mundy in the center that everyone most recognizes. On the right-hand side, the original gymnasium building, also by Hastings and Mundy. And on the left-hand side, the wonderful Art Deco structure of 1931 Pfeiffer and Robertson. But in addition to those structures, we've looked at everything on the site, and we've determined that there are a lot of non-contributing buildings, such as the rather new industrial arts building that is on the back side of the site around the gymnasium area, or the music suite that is off towards the rear of the auditorium, but in very terrible condition. And also some of the buildings, some of the aspects of historic buildings that are at the rear of the site have been so severely altered that they are no longer considered contributing. One of those is the cafeteria that exists at the rear of the site right now. So in looking at those, we've been able to make some decisions as to how to appropriately go forward by saving those elements that are contributing to the historic structure and will contribute to our new program, and by demolishing those elements that are seriously deteriorated and cannot contribute to our program. In going forward, what we propose to you is to save the 3 primary historic structures, and from those primary historic structures, extend and develop a new structure at the rear of the main classroom building, introduce a new building, 3 stories tall, in keeping with the scale and symmetry of the original building. And in that building, we will house 7 new team teaching clusters of classrooms. We'll house a new cafeteria. We'll house new exceptional education suites. And in replacing the industrial arts buildings of the past, we'll be housing a very innovative program, which is the new technology laboratory. Behind the gymnasium, we will be adding a locker room suite that'll provide all of the accompaniments to this very appropriate and exciting gymnasium. And behind the auditorium, we will add a new music suite that will provide all of the programmatic elements necessary for our middle school music programs. The question comes up, what are we doing within the historic structures? Well, we're very excited about the opportunity to work within the existing historic structure because it is a very tractable structure that is going to allow us to reinvent the interior of the structure and yet maintain its historic integrity. We will keep the original stairway that links each of the floors, but we will expand dramatically the size of the library on the 2nd floor. We will expand dramatically the size of the administrative classroom suite on the 1st floor and the art laboratories on the 1st floor, and also on the other side of the 1st floor, the guidance suite. In addition, we're going to have additional space available on the upper floors, which will allow us to put in additional classrooms, in particular in this case, computer training and computer classrooms that will introduce new technologies to the entire school. By proceeding in this manner, when our 1,485 students return to Miami Edison Middle School, they will have a truly state-of-the-art school, a school that will combine the history and long heritage of Miami Edison with the technology for education in the new millennium. We will have, in fact, linked the past century with the next. Thank you very much.
Ground was broken in March of '95, and the painstaking job of demolition, restoration, and new construction began. The non-contributing portions of the old school were demolished, and the historic buildings gutted to expose structural problems. Mr. Heisenbottle explained his restoration strategies.
These are the actual steel beams that we're going to use to insert up above over here and provide that extra load carrying capacity for the floors. The men have just finished cutting the holes for the bolts that are going to go through, and now their next challenge is to lift them into place.
Important historic elements were painstakingly preserved.
This is some of the original tile that was removed from certain areas within the building, and our intention is to reuse this to patch some of the other areas where the tile needs to be replaced. As you can see, it comes apart very nicely. And I think we can relay that tile and reuse it again for another 65 years.
The auditorium presented unique challenges.
The damage to the plaster that we're seeing up here, and the decorative painting for that matter, is really damage that was caused by the failure to re-roof the building. It's all water damage. The water came in and, of course, began to expand the wire lath. The wire lath began to rust. The plaster deteriorated. And what we're going to do now is go back over all of that and restore every bit of it, right down to the historic paint. Some of the plaster will require that we make molds of it where it has deteriorated. We'll make molds of other medallions and detail, because it's low relief here. And then we'll come back and we'll apply the plaster from those that we put into those molds and reapply it where it's been removed. He's trying to evaluate the plaster work up there that has to be restored and what he's really going to have to do. The proscenium arch here is in remarkably good condition in that it was not overpainted by previous painters. As we restore it, we're going to repaint it following the guidelines set forth in the historic paint analysis. But it still reads through after its original 1931 paint job pretty well. Backstage, we're going to have a completely new rigging system. All of the old rigging was taken out of the theater, so it's empty right now. There'll be a new stage curtain, a new complete new rigging system, new theatrical lighting systems, full-fledged theatrical venue. We could put for the most part, we could put the Miami City Ballet on that stage, and they could perform when we're through. Well, what's going to happen here is these air conditioning units are going to go right up into that hole over there, where they're going to sit on top of a concrete slab. This is one of our copper doors. We're going to be restoring these also. They've held up terribly well, though, through the years. The hardware's not original on this one, but on some of the others it is. It's very rare that you see a copper door and a copper jamb, though.
The historic gymnasium also went a complete restoration. School board members Betsy Kaplan, an Edison graduate, and G. Holmes Braddock toured the partially completed school.
Hey, Holmes, good to see you.
How you doing?
Okay, all right.
Hi, Rick.
Ms. Kaplan, good to see you also. Welcome to the field office out here.
Thank you.
This is where we actually keep track of all the things that are going on, overlooking the site outside there, and we keep the plans here. We've got our architects, engineers on site, and the construction manager, and just try to keep tabs on the entire project and answer questions as they come up.
Well, this is a dream come true, Rich, and I'm so glad that you're the one who's making it come true.
Well, thank you very much for giving us the opportunity. I don't wanted you guys to see what the new building looks like from this side. But the fabric of what was important on the inside of the school, namely, primarily in this case, the organization of this stairway, that's going to be fully restored. And then as you walk by this stairway, on either side, you go back through a courtyard that is very similar to the original courtyard. But I think everybody should also realize that in addition to all that restoration work, we've got a wonderful new building that's going on across the way, and it is going to have its own presence. We've picked up on the courtyard by the stairways that the men are forming up right there right now.
And this harmonizes with the prairie design.
Influence of this building.
Yes.
In fact, we actually even organized the column-based system the same way.
Yes.
It's the 26-foot module here. We use the 26-foot module there. It's 3 stories here. We use 3 stories there. We kept the central circulation axis in the same format that this building has, a central circulation stairway. We've blown it into a much more elaborate space here in the middle under the skylight.
In 1995, the Over the Hill Gang held one of their semi-annual reunions in the half-finished gym. They found familiar spaces and exciting new buildings taking shape. The spirited gathering brought back memories of golden ages.
I would just like to welcome all of you to our gymnasium. I think it's kind of like the lady with a dirty face right now. Just like the rest of the school, I hope all of you were able to take the tour and see what's going on with our great school.
Okay, let's go, kids.
Where are we going?
Okay. Rickety-rackety Ross, we're not allowed to cuss. But Jefferson Jail, we have to yell. We'll beat Miami High or bust.
Yes.
Go, Aggies, go.
Nat Moore, class of 1969 and the former Dolphin superstar, spoke to the crowd following the naming of the restored gymnasium in his honor.
You know, when I travel all across the country, and I must say that my ability to do these things started right here at Miami Edison. And I thank you, the former graduates of Edison High School, for developing Edison into what it was when I came through, so that I was able to experience that school spirit, that pride, and that tradition. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Others spoke not about the past, but about dreams for the future.
I hope that they can catch my vision and make this the central place where they have band concerts, choral concerts, community concerts, Haitian, since it's in a Haitian area, Haitian industries that would help the Haitians, and make this a center for all the Northeast schools.
When we worked to get the building preserved, we promised the neighbors that lived here today that we would link ourselves and not just have the school saved and disappear. So we started a foundation called the One United Band, which is the last line of our alma mater, where we have raised money to help the kids who are in Edison today.
No one was more anxious for the new Miami Edison Middle School to be completed than the students housed in portables across the street. And then finally, in January of '97, the students of Miami Edison Middle School, just like the Aggie High students of 1928, walked across the street into their magnificent new school building. Principal Ron Major helped the students find their way. Architect Richard Heisenbottle talked to the students in the new cafeteria.
We thought that while we had you here today, that we might go ahead and ask you what you think of your new school on the first day.
Yes, I would just like to thank you for being kind enough to build a new school for us.
I think this school is the prettiest school in the whole wide world.
Formal dedication came on January 8, 1998. Community leaders, school board officials, and alumni joined the students for a happy occasion in the beautiful auditorium, now named for Fred and Mary Exum. Many spoke about what the new school meant to everyone in Dade County.
I'd like to address the students because really you are our future, and as we move into the year 2000, we begin a new millennium, and there's a lot of history sitting in the auditorium, and a lot of prominent citizens of our community went through the school, and I see a lot of the alumni that are sitting out in the audience that have made a difference in our community, and you can make the difference. What a beautiful facility. This is a piece of history. This is a monument to our community. Please, young people, let's make this another wonderful tribute to our community for its very important citizens. So I challenge you to take the lead from your alumnus, from your alumni, and really make this happen and make Edison another wonderful, well-known school in our country.
The school has won a number of awards, a number of distinguished awards from the American Institute of Architects, from the Florida Trust for Historic Preservation, and a national award from the National Trust for Historic Preservation. I'd like to thank the board for recognizing the opportunity that was Miami Edison and for sending it and launching it on its future career in molding the lives of students and faculty. And we hope that it continues to do that for many years to come. Thank you.
I wanted to take just a couple of minutes to say also how proud we are of how wonderful our school looks. We were here when they were working on it. They had all of these seats out. These are the original seats that you're sitting in, and they reworked them, put them back. Rich Heisenbottle did a fantastic job on everything that is just unbelievable. And I want to make this statement. I believe that this is the most beautiful middle school, I know in the state of Florida, but probably in the United States of America. Where would you find one this pretty? We want to present a check to Arva this morning for $10,000.
The Over the Hill gang sold enough personalized bricks to raise